You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Hi, we are Enterprise Splaining, the podcast where we explain Star Trek Enterprise to each other and to you. I'm Maria, and these are my co-hosts Jamie.
Hi.
And Bill.
Hello.
Today, we are going to be talking about the Star Trek Enterprise episode Dead Stop. However, I am the only person here who's actually watched it, so it's my job to explain to my co-hosts what happened on the episode. Computer, tell us a bit about the episode we will be talking about this week.
Dead Stop. Suffering from damage inflicted in the Romulan minefield and unable to complete repairs on their own, Archer orders a distress call to be put out.
Okay. So now it's time for Two Truths and a Lie. I'm going to tell you two truths and a lie about this episode, and you can guess which is the lie. Ready? Number 1. Travis tricks Hoshi into trying to communicate with strawberry jello. Number 2. Travis dies.
Interesting. Okay. All right.
And number 3. Archer channels his inner Karen and asks to speak to a manager.
Oh, entirely plausible. Oh, boy. I can definitely see Archer trying to escalate a problem, although he would probably just start a blood feud with whomever was giving him a problem. I'm going to go with the was it strawberry jam or strawberry jello? Either way,
Jello.
That's my pick, but I was just... Okay.
That's your pick.
That's my pick. That is the lie.
Sorry, what is this episode called again?
It's called Dead Stop.
Okay, it does have the word dead in it. So maybe Travis dies. It would be exciting for something exciting to happen to Travis.
Maybe it's a tapestry episode where Travis dies and he has to reflect on everything that happens in his life, and he realized that nothing has happened in his life.
Oh, Travis.
Might be the hardest one we've ever done. I think Travis does not die. I think Travis does not die. Wait,
right.
Which one did you choose, Bill?
That he tricks Hoshi and trying to communicate with strawberry jello.
All right. Well, while you continue to ponder that, let's hear a bit more about one of our sister podcasts on the ESO network.
What if you could bring 3 experienced producers into your home each week to discuss your favorite movies and the people that made them? That's Tales from Hollywoodland. Your hosts, Arthur, Julian, and Steve, collectively have years of showbiz producing experience. Their weekly show is a fast-paced, fun, and very conversational experience, like spending a good time with your best movie-loving friends and family. Tales from Hollywoodland is available wherever fine podcasts are found. See you at the movies.
All right, let's get into it. Cold open. We open on an external shot of the Enterprise and its hull, which still has a huge gash in it. There's a shuttle pod circling the damage, and in a captain's log, Archer explains that it's been 4 days since the Romulan minefield incident.
I was expecting them to just be like, the Enterprise is fine now, and them to never bring that up again. And I love that it's coming back.
I do appreciate that this show is like trying to keep track of that. Like this is happening sort of in chronology. Like they mentioned, like 2 months ago this happened, and it's been 1 year since you joined.
Let me
us.
tell you, on Next Generation, we never would have heard about a whole problem again.
So this is actually intentional. I read a little bit about this, and I think it was, I don't know, it was probably Berman, I can't remember who, specifically wanted a situation where something bad happens and it doesn't magically just get fixed. He wanted to show how hard that is. So yeah, kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, because if you think about it, like in Next Generation, the assumption is they're just like going somewhere, it's getting fixed, and now they're back out.
Oh,
but
right.
When you're way out so far away, they don't have any human known institutions anywhere near them. Nowhere there's no shipyard they can just go to. So yeah, it does make sense that these problems would persist longer.
Yeah, so Archer and Trip are in the shuttle pod assessing the damage. Trip is worried. They're low on materials, and his guess is it's going to take 3 or 4 months to repair all the damage.
Wow.
Even with repair teams working around the clock, and things are getting tense. People are tired. And the damage also means that the fastest that they can go is warp 2 or 2.1, which means they're a decade away from Jupiter Station.
Oops.
And to top all of that off, the subspace transceivers damaged. So they only have short-range comms, so they can't call Earth or Vulcan for help.
I was going to say, like, they should call the Vulcans, but they can't even do that.
Can't do it.
And thus Starfleet's plan slowly comes to fruition.
They're going to Gilligan Island them. Archer says, quote, "Well, we've answered enough calls for help over the past year. It's time someone returns the favor." Is that really the best choice? Okay.
Yeah, the idea that anyone owes them is very rude. Like, if you're like a ship out on the sea and you've like found some stranded people at some point, you're not later like, well, now other people, totally different people, owe us.
Should help us. Anyway, he calms Hoshi and tells her to send out a general distress call, but to keep it simple and not go into too much detail about how badly they're damaged, which is surprisingly smart for Archer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Archer and Trip look worriedly at each other, and theme song, which means, Jamie, it's time for your Diane Warren update of the week.
All right, so I have been trying so hard to get access to the new Diane Warren documentary for you guys. As I previously mentioned, it's only available on Masterclass. That's the only place that you can stream this documentary, which is called Relentless. However, Masterclass does not have monthly subscription plans, only annual, and their cheapest plan is $129. I love you guys. I love this podcast. I am not paying $129 to watch a Diane Warren documentary.
I'm certainly not asking you to.
Yep, nope.
I also looked at my local library because they have a partnership with Masterclass, but it only includes certain select videos from Masterclass, and the Diane Warren document was not included. So I then emailed the PR company behind the movie to see if I could get a screener. I was just like, hey, I have a Star Trek podcast, but I have a segment about Diane Warren, and I would like to talk about it on the podcast. Can I have a screener? And I have not heard back. It's been about 2 weeks, so I don't think I'm getting that. But luckily, we have a friend who I will not name here because I don't want him to get in trouble, but he has a Masterclass account that he offered to share with me.
Awesome.
So I now do have access to the documentary. I have not watched it yet, but I will be watching it to discuss on an upcoming episode. So you all can look forward to that.
That's very
just wanted to tell you about the journey I've been on to watch this documentary.
That's great.
Speaking of the documentary, apparently the fans who saw the documentary have been reaching out to Diane Warren because they're concerned that the home that they saw her working in the movie, which has like all of her documents and like memorabilia, like things, like all of her work is in there, that was the house that burned down. Which is what I thought. Like, I definitely thought that she had like her ranch and then she has her house / office, and that was the house / office. But no, apparently she had 3 homes before one of them burned down.
Checks out.
All right, there.
The one that burned down was her beach house that she said that she uses just as a getaway.
Okay.
All right. Well,
so it's not her primary residence, and she doesn't keep anything of importance there other than her favorite piano. So she's like pretty sad about this piano burning, but otherwise she didn't lose like any important work or anything like that.
That's great.
That was something that I thought about during the Los Angeles fires, was because I'm a fan of Hollywood history and stuff like that, and these houses burnt down, and I'm obviously sad people lost their houses, but also just like how much memorabilia and how much, you know, classic Hollywood stuff we probably lost in all this fires.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
She says that her primary residence / office, which is what you can see her working in the documentary, is totally fine. It was not at risk. It was not near the fires. Nothing burned.
Good.
According to an article in Entertainment Weekly, they said, quote, Warren says she can scarcely imagine the incomprehensible scale of music history that would have been lost if her home studio had been part of what burned. One thing I love about Diane Warren is she knows how iconic and important she is.
Mhm.
Like the fact that she calls just her own work a quote incomprehensible scale of music history. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
If I found out that Elton John's house had burned down, I would be horrified. I was like, oh my God. all
I
the
was
stuff that was in
just
there.
thinking that. That's exactly the person I was thinking of.
Elton
I was
John, yeah.
like, if Elton John, I cannot even imagine.
But in the meantime, at the time we are recording this, we are 1 week out from the Oscars ceremony. So, wishing Diane Warren a lot of luck. In 2 weeks, I will let you all know if she won and what happened, because I'm sure there's no other way for you to find out after other than listening to us.
Not really covered, Certainly not one of the most major media events of the year.
Yeah, well, I'd much rather hear it from Jamie. Because
Obviously.
I'm not going to watch the Oscars, because I never do.
I did not used to, but now I do. Now I watch for this podcast. And that's all I got.
Thanks, Jamie. So now that the theme song is complete, we can get into the episode. And what I'm going to do before I do that is I'm going to send you a screen cap, which is the image that is the image for the episode on Paramount Plus. And it is coincidentally the scene that we start with. I just laughed so hard at this picture, and
I
this
am
will
so
almost
excited.
certainly be the image that we use for the episode as well.
A nice button down on Phlox there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Just-
should we describe it?
Yeah. So it's a image of Malcolm in sickbay looking extremely surprised, and Phlox right behind him with some sort of device looking quite angry.
It almost like Malcolm's eyes. It's almost like a cartoon, like with the eyes like poking out. Like
If I couldn't clearly see both of Phlox's hands, I would assume he had just goosed Malcolm. That's the
Agreed.
expression
That
on
is-
his face.
That is exactly I was like, did he stick something up Malcolm's butt? Because that's the expression you would get.
One of his
Anyway.
eels, yeah. No. Yeah.
also Malcolm's shirt is so tight. Looking at this, I want to apologize because when we had the episode where Hoshi wore one of Malcolm's shirts, and I said it didn't look big enough to be one of Malcolm's shirts. Actually,
Yeah, no.
with how tight the shirt is, it very much seemed like
Could
maybe
be.
it was the right side. I just didn't realize he wore such tight shirts.
Yep. So we open on a very close up of Malcolm's face. He's got the crazy eyes and is yelling, "You're killing me!" The camera pulls out to show that Phlox has Malcolm's leg at an angle, and he's telling him to push for a few more seconds. He's doing PT for the injury that he sustained in the last episode.
Ah, yes.
Oh wow! So
Okay.
there
Again.
really is some follow through.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Malcolm groans and whines about how painful it is. He says it can't be ethical to cause a patient this much pain. And Phlox very cheerfully tells him that it's unethical to cause harm to a patient, but that he can inflict as much pain as he likes.
Love Phlox.
I don't know if that
no-
tracks. I think that there's probably a
That's
cross.
quite right, but
There's a crossover in that Venn diagram there, Phlox. But okay.
I really hope my doctors don't have that same feeling about
know.
things.
it's funny when it's Phlox and Malcolm, less so when
Oh,
it's
yes.
us. Malcolm also wants to know how soon he can return to duty, and Phlox says another week or two. Malcolm is pissed about it taking so long, and Phlox suggests speeding up the healing process with more Regulan bloodworms.
Yeah.
And Malcolm says, absolutely not. Phlox still hasn't found that last one. Phlox assures him that it will come out on its own eventually.
Leave a bowl of food by your anus, and eventually it'll come out looking for.
Yeah, Malcolm looks very annoyed by all of this. We then cut to the captain's quarters with a close-up on Porthos!
Yay!
It is a Porthos-focused scene. He is sitting on the floor, and he's in the foreground in full view with Archer at his desk in the background. They both hear a little metallic squeak, and Porthos pricks up his ears and walks over to somewhere near Archer. And Archer says he can't believe it. Trip said he had fixed that squeak already.
Oh, is this the famous squeak that he was obsessed with? And oh, wow.
I cannot believe that came, because that bothered me in the first season, that it was like he's trying to figure out where the squeak come, and then it never comes back. Yep. It was like a Chekhov's gun that never went off, but they were saving it.
Amazing.
Yep. Porthos just wanders back to the spot he was sitting in, like, yeah, well, your bro lied, man.
Also, sorry, nobody but us remembers that stupid squeak.
For sure. The one thing that I did notice was Porthos is, in the scene, 100% clearly a girl dog. Like, you see the full, like, because of the way you'll see with the way the camera angle is. And they spent all this time. Anyway, it's a whole thing.
They just stopped caring.
Well, that's 100% why they use female dogs for all dogs. And
I understand, but I keep going back to, why not just make Porthos a girl? There's no reason for the character Porthos to not be a female dog.
Use she, her pronouns when referring to Porthos. That's all they had to do.
All they had to do.
And it would raise the ratio of female crew members on the ship, too.
Maybe they would get up to an entire third.
Exactly. T'Pol comes in and says they're receiving a response to their distress call. So Archer heads to the bridge, leaving Porthos just sort of standing there looking around. On the bridge, T'Pol says a Tellarite freighter has responded to their distress call. The signal is really bad, though.
Wait, Tellarite? That sounds familiar.
So I said the same thing. The Tellarite...
Oh, are they the pig-nosed people?
They're the pig-nosed people, who I think... I don't know where... I know I've seen them in Prodigy, because one of the characters in Prodigy is a Tellarite, but I were they in the original series, maybe?
I know them from TOS, and I think they might have been seen in Strange New Worlds.
They literally have pig faces.
Yeah, they have like upturned nose. Yeah, I don't think there's like a crew member, but you see them.
Were they on lower decks?
They were in Strange New Worlds, for sure. Now that I think about it, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, maybe that's where I know them from.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter because we don't see them. The signal is really bad, and although they definitely seem to be trying to help, they're only getting like a few words of each message. It's a lot of static. Hoshi says they're barely in range. However, we do figure out that the freighter can't come to help them directly, but is recommending a repair station nearby. The message cuts off, but T'Pol says they did send a set of coordinates.
Nice.
And she says that while the Tellarites are not the most agreeable of species, they're usually trustworthy. And the coordinates are 3.5 days away at Warp 2, so they decide to check it out. They don't have a whole lot of choice.
Okay.
They approach a space station, which looks like a giant set of binoculars hanging in space.
Weird.
Yeah, it's really weird looking. Archer hails the station in his usual happy, friendly way, but they don't respond. They scan it, and they can't detect any biosigns, and Hoshi posits that it's abandoned. Trip wants to try to board it and see if there are any materials that they can salvage, but Archer doesn't even really know how. The Enterprise can't fit inside the docking berths of the binoculars, basically.
Interesting.
Where is T'Pol in all of this? Seems like T'Pol would have thoughts on this.
In addition, T'Pol says she's detecting a liquid helium atmosphere and the temperature is 270 degrees below zero. So not...
Oh, geez.
Not ideal for first contact.
Which would make sense on an abandoned station. I mean, maybe not the helium, but definitely the temperature.
Right. Suddenly, there is a bright flash all across the bridge. T'Pol says it was a biomolecular probe. They look back at the space station, and it's reconfiguring itself.
But...
one of the sides is expanding into a big circle that the saucer section can fit into.
Whoa.
That is so cool.
And the liquid helium is being replaced by a warmer oxygen-nitrogen atmosphere.
Wow, that's so cool.
Well, this is cool. I like this. Okay.
It's very cool. Still no response to their hails, but it looks like they're being invited in. Archer isn't real happy about it, but Trip rightly says they don't have much choice, so they dock. And Archer, Trip, and T'Pol go onto the station. The station has kind of Cloud City vibe. It's very like beautifully clean white walls with these like hexagonal patterns on them. Very minimalist. There's rows of like track lights along the corridors that sort of light up as they're walking down the corridor. They make their way into a room which seems to be a sort of control center. In the middle of the room is a column with 6 panels with screens on them. And there's kind of a central pole, and about 3/4 of the way up, there's this golden donut-looking thing. And at the very top of the pole, there's a hologram of the Enterprise and its schematics. And there are lots and lots of other panels and screens on the outer walls of the room. So they look up at the Enterprise hologram, and Trip says they've isolated every hull breach and damage system. They even identified the spot where Trip scratched the hull a year ago when they were in the inspection pod. In the pilot, we see that happen. Archer says he told Trip to fix that, and Trip sheepishly says he was getting around to it.
I just want to say, so far, I am really enjoying this. This sounds like a fun episode so far, at least.
Then they see diagrams of the human body labeled brisket, flank, lean, bacon.
How to cook man. How to serve man.
No, it just is how to cook man.
Damn it.
That's a weird way.
Yeah, that's right.
What could this possibly mean, says Archer.
Archer notes that all the displays are in English. And he looks at one screen, and this has an outline image of a human on it. And he says they didn't just probe the ship. He thinks the screen is showing Malcolm because it has a little indicator blinking by his leg where the injury is.
It's really funny. When you were like, I was like, how would he know? But does that mean that nobody else on the ship has any injury or any infirmity at all? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, that doesn't even make sense because a ton of people got injured in that explosion.
Yeah,
Exactly. But Malcolm's the only one that matters. T'Pol says that this facility may be able to repair Malcolm as well. I mean, Malcolm's damage is pretty extensive, though, so... and it's not got anything to do with his leg.
Archer grabs Tris by the shoulders and goes, "We can fix Malcolm?"
Exactly. So a panel opens and a screen pops up, and a computer voice tells them the analysis of their ship is complete and to select a method of compensation to begin the repairs. Archer tries to find out if there's a person he can talk to, but the computer just says your inquiry was not recognized to all his questions. It doesn't seem like there's anyone there, just the machines.
But it's asking for compensation, so they're going to have to, it's not just going to help them for free.
Right.
Exactly. The screen asks them to select a method of compensation to begin their repairs, and 3 options pop up.
Venmo, PayPal, Bitcoin.
It's 3 warp coils, 5 deuterium injectors, or 200 liters of warp plasma. So they discuss their options. They don't really want to give up any of their hardware, so they decide on the plasma. Trip says they can manage without
and it sounds like it specifically asked them for things that it knew that they had.
Correct.
And possibly knew that they could go without, like it's not going to like break the ship. This is so interesting.
Or option number 4, mystery box.
Or option number 4, Malcolm. They're like, well, I guess we're going with that one.
Please insert Malcolm into slot.
He's damaged anyway. The computer says that the repairs will take 34.2 Earth hours, and they are amazed. Even if they'd gotten back to Jupiter Station, it would have taken 3 months to repair all that damage, at least.
Okay, but this is clearly super advanced technology, guys. Like...
I know, but it's still, like, cool. Like, they're like, it's cool.
It's very cool. That's awesome.
Archer also still seems a little unsure, but again, they don't really have much choice, so he clicks the warp plasma option, and the machine says that compensation will be due when the repairs are complete. It also says that all personnel are required to vacate areas undergoing the reconstruction, and the Enterprise has to leave as soon as the repairs are complete and payment has been provided. it pops up a repair schedule, which T'Pol transmits to Hoshi to let the crew to know to stay out of the way when they're in the midst of repairs.
Yeah, so the crew, like everybody stays on the ship. They're just out of the areas that are being repaired.
Okay.
Correct.
Correct. This is a little fuzzy, but it makes sense that they wouldn't want them to see. You don't want them in the area, and you don't want them to see the repair techniques. Okay.
Or get injured or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. At first, I thought that it was saying that they had to be off the ship, and I'm like, that feels really suspicious.
Right.
But no, just out of those specific areas.
Just when they're doing repairs.
Okay. What about Malka?
They immediately start to hear these big metallic clangs, and we see that outside the station has generated these arms with grabby claws, and it's now pointing towards the ship, presumably starting those repairs. Travis comes in and is like, these arms are attaching themselves to the ship. What should I do? And Archer tells him it's fine, not to worry about it.
One of them has stabbed me through my other leg.
Another door opens, and the computer says that the recreation facility is now open to all personnel.
Okay.
They walk into a room.
This is like one of those huge truck stops where they have like showers and laundry facilities. And
That's
great. I love those places.
Yeah. They walk into another room, which kind of looks like a mess hall. It's still all white, but there are big, huge open windows, and you can see the machines working on the Enterprise outside.
Oh, that's so cool. Like when you're getting a car wash.
Exactly. That's exactly what it's like.
Oh, please tell me there's a scene where they're sitting on the bridge and they see the foam, the color of the rainbow foam going over
It would be
the
so
screen.
good. So there's tables and chairs. Trip is not all that impressed, but as they walk around, T'Pol notices that one of the tables has a circular glowing light in the middle. She scans it and says it's a matter energy converter. She says she thinks it's a molecular resequencer, way more advanced, but sort of similar to their protein resequencer. She says water, cold, and a glass of water appears on the table, and she picks it up and cautiously drinks it. It's a replicator.
Awesome.
Yeah, she says she saw a similar device on another ship, and it was capable of replicating almost any inanimate object.
It could make cold water or room temperature water. Everything a Vulcan needs.
That's all you need. She is very, chill about this. Trip and Archer are confounded, per their habit. Trip seems sort of speechless, and Archer cocks his head and looks under the table like he's a monkey who just saw television for the first time and is trying to figure out where the little people came from. It is ridiculous.
Amazing.
I mean, to be fair, I would have that exact reaction too if there was some device that just creates things out of nothing.
Exactly. However, Trip gets it quite quickly and realizes how useful something like this could be in engineering.
So he starts kicking it off the table, planning on...
He also wonders what else is on the menu and orders 1 pan-fried catfish, of course, our Florida boy, and a plate of pan-fried catfish appears. There are also sides, what looks like red beans and rice, like a triangle of cornbread and some spinach. There's even a lemon slice on the catfish. Clearly Chef Dorothy's work, there's no doubt. Right. But how did the replicator know what sides to...
It must, they scanned everything on the ship, so they probably were also scanning all the stuff on food and stuff.
God, that would be terrifying if it made a catfish hybrid. This horrifying monstrosity that was part cat and part fish. Well, that's what you asked for.
That's what you asked for.
It does feel like a security risk because it seems like it has not just scanned the ship and the people, but also all of their files and information to learn their but presumably there are secrety things that they don't want other cultures to know about. Now it also knows exactly where Earth is.
Yep. Trip is pretty excited. He takes a bite and declares it, quote, not bad. Archer still does not really get it. He says, I doubt there's a catfish within 130 light years.
Jesus Christ, Archer. This is the time travel thing all over again.
Yeah. T'Pol says its genome is stored in the Enterprise computer, as is the recipe, just as you said, Jamie. So I suppose I guess the recipe included information about sides. I was just like, he did not order those sides.
I mean, if it was able to like figure out the whole language, like I feel like it makes sense if they're looking at a cultural database and like this is like if you look at photos of fried catfish, it probably has all the sides.
What you
like,
normally
that makes sense
have.
to me.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they have a protein resequencer. They can make steaks out of carbon random molecules. They know this exists. This is just a more advanced version of it.
Archer's real confused though.
It's like if I know that those dot matrix printers, like the Okadata things, exist, and then someone shows me a laser printer, I'm going to be impressed, but I'm going to get the general concept.
You're not going to look under it for the imps that are making the...
I'm not going to open up hoping there's little scribes in there with their quill pencils.
Exactly. So T'Pol says the station apparently scanned their database. Archer does look concerned. He says it would have been nice to have been asked. Like, he can only imagine what else this thing knows about them. Trip is still eating.
Of course he is.
He tells Archer he needs to try it, but Archer says thanks, but he'll stick to whatever chef's serving. And Trip kind of nods and just keeps eating. Mm-hmm. Externally, we see the station making repairs. It's replicating panels as it installs them. It's really cool. Like, it's like moving, like these arms are like moving over, and like as they need a panel, it just appears. And it is clearly like replicating what it needs as it needs it.
Wow, actual competence. Imagine that.
Mm-hmm. We then cut to Med Bay, where a device is shining a beam of light onto Malcolm's knee as he watches it suspiciously. If you look closely, you might recognize the device. It's an exocomp, like Peanut Hamper in Lower Decks.
Ah, cuckoo. All right.
Mm-mm. Malcolm is very suspicious of this thing, but Phlox says it's remarkable. It's regenerating his cells at an exponential rate. He wonders if the captain could negotiate a trade for the device, which would be really useful in sickbay.
They are going to fix Malcolm. We can make him stronger, more intelligent. Would you like to install a personality?
I feel like it would have been more fun if they had to have done something really bad to Malcolm. Like maybe they had to like amputate his leg, or he was never going to be able to walk again. Like that would have been more. It would have been fun to start out the episode with like Malcolm is never going to be able to walk again or something, and then have him have this device, but whatever. Instead of just like it was going to take longer, and now it's faster.
Now it's not going to take as long, right?
The device sits down and explains the rules of soccer to him.
In fact, like if I were Malcolm, I would actually turn this down and just go with Phlox, because it's just there's so many unknowns.
Unknowns, right? And that's exactly
like
why
Phlox
he's suspicious.
wasn't going to be able to cure him. It was just going to take longer.
Phlox was using like worms and shit. Like,
well, I mean, that's what it gets into. The weird part is the idea that is like, I mean, this gets into sort of a Borg idea of, oh, this is flawed. We can fix this. We can, this piece of equipment on your ship is,
like you have no idea who built this thing, what they want, what their motives are. They could put a device inside you to spy, like who knows? I feel like if I were Malcolm, I would just go with with Phlox's worm. But if it was going to be something really bad, like if it was going to be
right, they had no choice, and he was going to lose the leg,
then it would have made more sense. But whatever.
Agreed. The device finishes its treatment and it disappears. Phlox says the tissue is completely healed, even the scar is gone. Malcolm stands up very cautiously and is very excited to discover that he has no pain at all. He is completely fixed. Archer is in his room watching the repairs out of the window when T'Pol comes in to give him an update on how the repairs are going. They look at the machines out the window together, and Archer says they even fixed the squeak under the floor. He says he was beginning to think there was a gremlin under the deck plating, and then he has to explain to T'Pol what a gremlin is. Yeah. Unfortunately, he uses the older definition of the creatures that World War II Air Force pilots said sabotage airplanes, and not the don't feed them after midnight mogwai definition.
Not the Joe Dante movie?
Which I would have been much happier with. T'Pol says that Trip is very happy with the repairs. They're apparently exceeding Starfleet's specifications. Archer nods but still looks concerned, and T'Pol asks him what's wrong. And Archer says he's just worried because this all seems just too good to be true. It's a real bargain for just 200 liters of warp plasma. T'Pol says that not every culture is based on the acquisition of wealth, and suggests that the station builders might just be interested in helping others.
And stealing all their information.
Yeah.
Like that's the real payment, is all this information that they just gave us.
It's marketing information.
Yeah.
They're going to get all these pop-ups now every time every time they try to use anything.
Every time they want to use the universal translator, they have to enter their LinkedIn login information.
Archer wonders what happened to the people who created the station. He tells her it just all feels suspicious, and even though she doesn't put very much faith in her feelings, he's learned to trust his, and something just doesn't smell right.
Yeah, I mean, I totally can believe that if there's a culture that has this type of technology, they may have just built it for good reasons. Like maybe it's just asking for things it needs, but yeah, I can also see it for suspicious or to have like other purposes.
Just in terms of storytelling, I'm sure something is about to go horrifically wrong.
I'm sure the other shoe has to drop at some point.
Exactly. So back on the station in the rec room, a bunch of crew are in there. They're eating and talking and laughing. Trip and Malcolm are chatting about how amazing the tech is, how the doctor didn't have to do anything except watch the machine work, and how fast things are getting done in engineering. Stuff that would take Trip's crew a week is getting done in 15 minutes.
This is kind of how things work in, like, the rest of Star Trek, like from TOS to next year. Like, you just wave a wand over somebody and their kidney regrows.
Well, it seems like the technology they have is like TOS level technology. Or sorry, not TOS level, TNG level.
They flew into an episode of Next Generation.
Trip says that with this technology, they could build ships that maintain themselves, and they wouldn't even need chief engineers or tactical officers. Malcolm says he can't see the point in a starship without a tactical officer, which tells you so much about Malcolm.
It suddenly just struck me that everything Maria is describing, like, we're just sitting here, oh, wow, this sounds so really incredibly cool. This is amazing. The Enterprise, literally, Maria is just describing Next Generation level technology. It's like, oh, wow, it's like we're watching,
No, but it is cool. Like, to me, it seems even cool beyond that, because it's doing it all by itself too. Like, even in Next Generation, they can't just like when they have visitors from another ship, they have to like program in what they want to eat and stuff. They can't just scan another ship and be like, all right, here's like a whole meal.
They don't have like a 3D printer where they can just create another Galaxy class starship. Like, people have to put it together.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, it's very cool. All right. Well, Trip is curious though. He wants to know where the computer in. Sorry.
No. I'm sorry.
Where the computer in?
Until you laughed, I fully believe that's how he said it.
Where the computer at? He wants to know where the computer is. I'm going to leave all of that in.
Please do.
He goes on about how a computer that can do this much must be quite big, but he scanned the station, and there's only one little compartment under the deck that they're on where the computer could be, and it's super small.
That is absolutely not how computers work, Trip.
It doesn't have to be big, man. Like, we know this already.
Yeah,
like,
by 2002, they should have, people had home computers.
The number of punch cards alone would fill 14 warehouses.
Like, he's comparing it to their computer, and it's like, no, that's clearly this thing is much better technology than yours. You've seen this.
This is truly Star Trek for people who don't watch Star Trek.
Yeah.
This ship is so advanced, I would think that it would have things on it to protect itself, and maybe you should not go fucking around in its main computer.
It's Shadows of Pajam all over again.
Funny you should say that, Jamie.
Oh, God, here we go.
So he has scanned the station. There's only one little compartment under the deck that they're on where the computer could be, and it's super small, and he really wants to get a look at it. He tried to ask the computer, but he got an inquiry could not be recognized.
I'm sorry, in a cutscene at the very end of the episode, Another battle-torn ship shows up to this repair station and finds that it has been completely destroyed because these fuckers pulled open a panel that they shouldn't have pulled open, and everybody on that ship dies.
I just think the technology is so advanced that everyone would be seeing it and being like, what can I steal? So it probably has very, very high-tech methods of protecting it. Yeah, self-defense mechanisms to protect itself.
Well, don't worry, guys. Trip has a plan.
Good.
Yeah. He has found an access port to a cooling duct that very conveniently leads to the center of the station.
And it is Trip Tucker size.
He wants to sneak a look. He says it'll be easy. He used to bullseye romp rats in his T-16 back home, and they're not much bigger than the entry. So a kid. But he does want to go in.
God. Trip, you are violating the terms of service.
Yeah, this feels like a very, very, very bad thing to do.
Which is what Malcolm says.
Hey, Trip, you want to fuck around?
Wow.
Go into Daniel's room and start going through his stuff.
Well, Malcolm says that the computer might not take kindly to them snooping around, to which Trip responds, I haven't seen any no trespassing signs. Okay, what? Just because there isn't a sign doesn't mean you don't have free reign to do it. I mean, there aren't any don't murder all humans sign, but that doesn't mean the computer has free reign to... Oh, wait, let's hold on to that thought.
I love the idea, like, the Enterprise came across a thing that is just a net good for everyone. It is so good for the universe that this thing exists, and they are about to fuck it all up.
Yeah. Do you remember the episode? It was actually the Ferengi episode where they found a planet, and it turned out that like it was a marketing firm. They sold weapons, and in the process, this marketing device destroyed a starship. That's literally what they're fucking around with here. Okay, fine. Okay, idiots. Please tell me they all end up dying.
Uh-oh, and then the ship's gonna bring them back?
And then the alien space station recreates them all with artificial bodies, and these simulacra just go on.
Yeah, I feel like this is what's about to happen to Travis.
I think that was an episode of Stargate.
No, this is the point where the crew becomes competent because the ship recreates them, fixing all of their personality problems. And this is the Enterprise crew that everybody else in Starfleet knows.
Anyway, Malcolm isn't convinced, but of course, Trip convinces him. So in the next scene, we see Trip. Okay, y'all. He is literally pulling an air filter out of a panel in the wall. Like a flat filtry air filter that you have in your heating system and have to change every 3 months. It's literally one of those things. There's no difference.
Okay.
This ship at this point was able to completely change the entire atmosphere. This makes no sense that it would even have something like that.
Trip is on Malcolm's shoulders and has managed to pull out this filter, which is apparently all that was covering this access port.
The only thing that makes sense is that the ship detected they were going to try this, and this is a game that the space station has created an escape room-like situation because it knew they were going to fucking do this.
So they scramble up into the duct. They're in a standard television sci-fi duct. Right, there's some big fans on one side and they start crawling through when suddenly and unexpectedly we cut to Travis in his underpants. It's quite a jarring cut.
Is he wearing a shirt?
Well, so now we saw on the Risa episode that Travis's arms are ripped, but now we get him shirtless and confirmed that man is fully ripped. Holy moly.
Oh, yeah.
So he has just like the blue shorts?
That's all he's...
Nothing else?
Yep.
Where is...
He's in his cabin coming out of a shower or something.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's pulling on a shirt when he gets a comm, and it's the captain asking him to come down to Launch Bay 1. And Travis says that he thought that section was off limits while repairs were going on. But the captain says, not anymore. I could use a hand, Ensign.
Oh, is this a voice only?
That's right, voice only.
Oh, that's suspicious. That's sus.
This is suspicious.
That's sus. Okay. They're going to explain, you're on a very terrible show. We're going to get you out of here. Don't worry about this.
And so we have a back and forth, but I'm going to kind of change the order of things just to make things a little more logical. Travis goes to landing bay 1 and he calls for the captain. And as he's walking through the bay, he's still kind of calling hello. He sees a panel on the wall that is really badly damaged and it's sparking. And he walks up to it and he's looking at this sparking panel.
Uh-oh.
And now we're back in the conduit where the guys are still crawling along. They're debating whether they're going in the right direction when suddenly an alarm klaxon goes off. And there's an aperture that's in front of them and it just closes shut. So they turn around and they start to crawl away back the way they came, but they are transported out of the conduit and they reappear still on their hands and knees on the bridge. Both of them looking like the chimney sweeps that we had last episode. Like they're both covered in soot for some reason.
Fantastic.
T'Pol is the only one there. And what I have written is she looks down on them inquiringly. Y'all, it's a classic T'Pol. What the fuck are you doing? And Trip says, good evening, Commander. Like, tries to be all cool.
Okay, they got real lucky that whoever built this station, like, seems to genuinely care about the people, or at least to now, it seems like they're like, some people are gonna do some stupid shit. We're not going to kill them. We are just going to transport them away.
Yeah, so Trip and Malcolm get reamed by Archer. He is furious, and he says they could just as easily have been transported into space. And Trip tries to take the blame, saying it was all his idea, but Archer is having none of it. He says Malcolm's a big boy who can make his own decisions. Yep. And he says to Malcolm, you were the one telling me that discipline is bad on this ship. I'm beginning to agree with you.
Holy shit, continuity.
Mm-hmm. He confines them to quarters for the rest of the time, but then as they start to walk away, he calls them back and asks if they actually noticed anything interesting, because he is still kind of curious about what's going on. Right. But before they can really answer, T'Pol comes in and says that Archer is needed in Launch Bay 1 immediately. In Launch Bay 1, Phlox is scanning Travis, who is lying on the floor with burns on his face, and Phlox looks grim as Archer runs up, and he tells him that Travis is dead. Archer looks shocked, and we go to commercial.
Dun, dun, dun.
When we come back...
Phlox says, dead tired.
Unfortunately, they are taking Travis's body away. Phlox says that the burns are consistent with an isolytic shock, but he can't be sure until he does a full postmortem.
The idea, I'm sorry, like, Travis, the whole thing that we say about whatever happens to Travis is always to further someone else's story. This just shows it was like, we don't see any Travis, and suddenly we get to see Travis. Something really big happens to him, and it has nothing to do with Travis.
Nope.
I just hate the way the show treats that character.
Me too.
They're like, we need a dispensable character that we can just bring in and kill and then bring back to life at the end. And so they're like, oh, perfect for Travis.
Hoshi's not available, so we're gonna make it Travis.
That is the upsetting part about this, is that the two guys who were literally trying to break into the holiest of holies of this space station get transported safely. Okay, that's fine. Okay, let's move on.
Archer's obviously upset. He goes over to Trip, who is examining the panel, and he says that it looks like Travis was trying to tap into the EPS grid when the relay overloaded. And Archer wants to know why the hell he would come down here in his off hours and start messing with this thing. And Trip agrees it makes no sense. He says he's sure that Travis would have checked with him before doing any maintenance. Archer is real mad, and he decides to... You guessed it! Yell at T'Pol!
Wait, what?
Wait, what? What? What?
T'Pol, who is also there helping.
This makes less sense. Usually when he yells at her, it's because it's like other Vulcans are doing something and he's gonna blame her, but in this case there's not even any other Vulcans. Why would it be her fault?
He asks her if she told the crew that they were not allowed in the areas during repairs. And she says, yes, obviously she fucking did. It's a very simple thing. And he yells that apparently someone didn't get the message. But he does calm down a little, and they try to figure out what Travis's last movements were. Trip and Malcolm say they last saw him having dinner with Hoshi, so Archer tells them to go talk to her.
Obviously, it's Hoshi's fault. Where is she?
Yeah, exactly. He tells them to go talk to her and find out anyone else that he might have talked to. Malcolm also suggests that they check his quarters, and Archer agrees. He also tells them to post a security detail outside every area that's under repair. Again, pretty smart
Great
thing.
idea. Honestly, like, they should have probably done that from the beginning.
Yeah. He says he needs to talk to a person. He leaves and he goes straight to the station and into the control room. He tries to talk to the computer, but he doesn't get very far. He asks if they have any records of what happened in that area, and it just says all personnel are required to vacate that area during repairs, or things like that inquiry is not recognized, which is sort of its default answer.
It's like me when I'm on a phone helpline. He just keeps hitting 0000000.
It's so interesting because we were wondering if this is a reaction to that, because he says he needs to talk to a person, someone who can access the station's database and tell him what happens. And then we get this really weird shot of Archer from, like, inside one of the screens. Like, he's yelling, but it's kind of muted, and he's kind of banging on the screens, like, who built this station? What species? And as he's banging on the panel, the computer says, any damage to these facilities will be charged to your vessel. And Archer kind of realizes there's nothing he could do. He sort of sighs and anger. He's all angry about it.
Like, punching the computer is gonna do something. Like, give me a break.
Exactly. Meanwhile, Phlox is doing Travis's postmortem and doing the thing where he's recording all of his findings as he goes, talking about the body and the burns and so on. When Hoshi walks in and he pauses, she says she wants to say goodbye. And he says it might be disturbing. Hoshi tries to be all cool. She's like, I've seen a dead body before, 15 of them on that alien ship. Like, Hoshi, my girl, you need to find a therapist because you are definitely not okay. She's like, I've definitely seen bodies before. I saw 50. Like, she is clearly not okay.
What if that was one of the choices of payment was 15 gallons of human amniotic fluid? Wait a minute, hold on.
Well, Phlox tells her it's different when it's someone you know personally, but Hoshi insists, and he lets her in. She walks up, and she gets choked up. She says she was hoping it was one of Travis's practical jokes. You know, the practical jokes that Travis is so well known for.
We're getting a really fucked up picture of Travis. Like, he does that fake thing, like that fake Better Off Dead thing where he, like, hangs himself, but not really, and just waits until Hoshi finds him.
Well, apparently a few weeks back, Travis called her down to decon, telling her that he brought a gelatinous life form aboard and that it might be sentient. So the captain needed...
Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! Damn it!
The captain needed her to figure out how to communicate with it. But there was no life form. It was just strawberry gelatin.
I am angry and happy at the same time.
Even as a joke, like, she should have known it was a joke because it wouldn't make any sense for Travis the ensign to be telling her this. But I agree. That is a funny practical joke.
Well, he said that he brought it onto the ship, and then the captain said that she should try to talk to it. It's pretty funny. It's solid.
I agree that it's adorable.
We found this slime-like being. The captain wants to know if he can fuck it. Please try to communicate. Please try to get its consent.
So she's telling this story and she breaks down. It's a sweet scene. She's really upset. Phlox is sympathetic. He tries to make her feel better by assuring her that Travis felt very little pain. He starts to explain about how isolatic shock instantly impairs the nervous system, but then he pauses and looks at the panel with Travis's readings. And then he stops and says, that's odd. And Hoshi says, what? And he says, they're all dead, all of them. And then he excuses himself and hurries off to check something. Meanwhile, Archer walks into Travis's quarters to talk to Malcolm, who is sitting in his quarters by Travis's laptop, or whatever the equivalent is. Malcolm says that it doesn't look like Travis used the comm system at all last night, and that another crew member had passed Travis on the way to the launch bay, and that he seemed to be in a hurry, but that they didn't speak. The computer had a letter on it that Travis was writing to his sister. Malcolm didn't find very much of anything else. He does say that the letter mentioned something about Archer canceling breakfast on Travis, and Archer looks super guilty, saying that last week he had to postpone breakfast with Travis. Archer looks ill, like he looks so sick and upset. He asks about contacting Travis's parents, and Malcolm says that DePaul is working on it, but it might take a little while since cargo ships can be difficult to track down.
Yeah, also they have to wait till their comms are fixed.
So they're talking about this when the comm interrupts them, and it's Phlox asking Archer to get down to sickbay right away, which he does. He comes in, and Hoshi and Phlox are standing over Travis's body. And Archer sort of gruffly asks him if he has information, and Phlox says he does. This is not Ensign Mayweather.
Oh.
Whoa.
Well, I knew he wasn't dead, but I knew he was going to come back to life, but okay.
It is a near perfect replica, but it's not Travis. And he figured this out because a few months ago, Travis had been inoculated against Rigelian fever. Phlox tells the captain to roll up his sleeve, and he puts a cuff on him, and then on the screen we see, I guess, the cells or in his bloodstream.
Okay.
The vaccine contained millions of genetically altered microbes, most of which are still in the captain's bloodstream. He says they typically survive at least several weeks, but the ones in Travis are all dead, even though the shock of the isolytic shock or whatever shouldn't have affected them. They should still be alive. And so therefore, it's a facsimile of Travis.
Travis got a really nasty STD on Risa that is not present in this. Therefore,
it's sort of.
I feel like that's a stretch to like maybe there was something weird that happened that killed it, other than his entire body was replaced by a replica.
Storytelling device.
Phlox
Don't worry
is
about it.
100% convinced this is not Travis.
Okay.
Archer goes to the bridge where T'Pol tells him that she's found Travis's parents, and he tells her to hold off because Travis might still be alive.
I'm still surprised they contacted that quickly, because I just think that you would wait until you really know everything, because they're going to have lots of questions.
It does seem like they just had her find out where they are versus like...
Okay.
Oh,
we have them on the line? Okay.
it sounded like she had them on the line.
No, she's just found where they are.
How are things?
Yeah, how are you, though? What, you'd like to talk to your son? Please hold.
Hold on a second. Malcolm. I need to finish doing the dishes.
And again, you have mixed up Malcolm and Travis. Everybody drink.
Their names don't even sound the same.
Here's the line. It goes to Paul, Trip Tucker, Travis Mayweather, Malcolm Reed.
Okay, that's where you're getting from.
TTM. They called Malcolm parents to let them know Travis. Travis went, oh my God, Travis is dead!
He was so nice that one time we met him.
Malcolm's parents are weirdly invested in Travis's life and career.
Anyway, Archer asks Malcolm how far inside the station he and Trip got. And Malcolm said they were within 20 meters from the computer core when they tripped the sensors. Archer asks him to see if he can come up with a way to get past the sensors. T'Pol says that repairs will be complete in 19 minutes, and the station will expect them to leave as soon as they're done. So Archer calms Trip and asks if he's prepared the payment, and he tells him to stall, basically.
He calls them on the comms?
Yeah, he calms him. Yeah.
I feel like the station knows everything that's happening.
That's a great point.
Like, they're like, we see exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, that's a good point, but never comes up.
Don't worry about it.
So we see the arms of the station kind of detach from the Enterprise. The repairs are done. And then Trip pushes a cart with these big canisters labeled war plasma into the control room. Definitely not a bomb. Definitely war plasma. The computer tells him to place payment on the transport platform, but Trip says that before he does that, he wants to discuss the quality of the work, which he is not happy with.
Excellent. My man. Let's go.
So he's like, some of the bolts aren't up to Starfleet specs, and the subspace amplifier is getting all these distortions. He's trying to stall.
Yeah, Maria, you really cheated on the 2 truths and a lie by one of them being Truch as a different character.
No. Archer does ask to speak to a manager. Like, it was definitely Archer who asked that.
Wait, it was Archer doing this.
Yeah. And they both kind of do ask to speak to a manager, but Archer is like, who did this?
Travis doesn't die.
Travis doesn't die.
Okay, got it.
I still would have stuck up for that from a storytelling perspective. Okay, yeah, it's fine. I'm not mad about this. Yeah.
If Travis had died and come back to life, I would have said that was true. But Travis doesn't die.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
It turns out it was an elaborate situation where Travis was trying to escape.
Yeah, Travis is just trying to get the fuck out.
Travis is like, I just want to live. He like negotiated with the ship or with the station on the side. He's like, can you just like trick them into thinking I'm dead so I can stay here?
Yep.
Exactly.
And live here forever.
So Trip is trying to stall, but the computer really is not responding to his question. It just keeps saying, put the compensation on the platform, or your inquiry is not recognized. Trip says they're not paying until they sort this out.
Damn straight.
So then we cut between Trip asking random questions about the quality of the work with the computer saying your inquiry was not recognized, and Archer, T'Pol, and Malcolm getting into the air vent. And as Trip is asking about filing a grievance, Malcolm is leading Archer and T'Pol through the conduit. Malcolm crawls ahead of them, intentionally tripping the alarm. The aperture ahead of him closes, and he gets transported back to the bridge, but that allows Archer and T'Pol to figure out where the sensor is and shoot it and destroy it. So then alarm klaxons are going off, and that is Trip's cue to get the hell out. He's like, cool, bye.
Yeah.
He runs off, leaves the canisters in the control room. Archer and T'Pol figure out how to open the aperture, and they make their way into where they think the computer room is. They're in this huge cargo bay, which has like kind of shelves running from the ceiling to the ground, and there are unconscious people hanging all along. Like, it's like rows and rows and rows of people with like on bunks almost of different people.
Creepy.
Yeah, it's super creepy. They scan and they find one human bio sign. In the meantime, the computer is yelling at them to vacate the area or their vessel will be compromised.
They're not going to save Travis and leave all these other bodies there, are they?
They 100% are going to exactly do that.
T'Pol says that all the people are alive, but have...
I'm sorry, I want to pause for a second. Jamie, what in our experience of watching this show leads you to believe that they are going to rescue everyone other than the one character we know in the show? I don't expect an answer. Just let's move on.
It would have been really fun to rescue everyone because then you'd have like all these different types of aliens on your ship.
Oh yeah, and there's like Klingons, like there are species we recognize who are there. Okay. So T'Pol says all the people are alive but have suffered severe neurological damage. Their synaptic pathways have been integrated into the primary data core.
Ooh, creepy.
So they find Travis. He is unconscious and he's got a bunch of tubes coming out of him, just like everybody else. Archer just fucking rips those tubes out of him. Like red stuff gets when they're splashes everywhere. Like he just rips them out.
They're connected to his brain.
Well, these are not, but I guess they're whatever is keeping him alive, but something has to be connected to his brain, and he just rips them all
this
out.
Feels like a bad idea.
Anyway, the station is beginning to retaliate. 3 arms come out and grab the hull of the Enterprise, and Trip and Malcolm can't really do anything about it. Polarizing the hull plating doesn't do anything, and their weapons are offline because the station has tapped into the ship's system and is overriding command functions.
The whole plating, it does nothing. When has whole plating ever done anything on this
the whole
show?
plating.
Nothing. Hoshi tries to lock out the main computer, but the access codes have all been scrambled. It's a big mess. Archer and T'Pol get Travis and blast through the wall of the cargo bay and carry Travis through the station and back into the Enterprise where Phlox is waiting. Phlox takes Travis. Archer runs to the bridge because comms are down, so he can't, calm the bridge. But he gets to the bridge. Everything is in chaos. They have no control over weapons or engines, and life support is failing. Jeez. Archer says that they have Travis, and he tells Malcolm that it's time to deliver their payment. Malcolm hits a button on a remote, and back in the control room, the warp plasma canisters blow up. Malcolm says that it did some damage and that power levels are dropping, but the plasma has not ignited the O2 conduits. And Archer gets weirdly snippy with him, and he was like, just wait, Malcolm. It needs to reach 3,000 degrees. He has to be patient. He's super aggressive. He's aggressive with him in a manner that he usually reserves for T'Pol. It's real weird. So they wait.
And if there's one thing I know about Malcolm, he does understand explosions.
Exactly. So, but they wait a few seconds, and then Malcolm says that he's reading secondary explosions throughout the station, and they all grin, and we see the outside of the station all blowing up.
Wait, but all those people on the station that they left on the station, they blew them up?
Blowed up.
And again, everyone who came to this station, depending on repairs...
I mean, it was evil.
Well, I mean, the Romulans, the Romulans were 100%, I don't care if you need to sacrifice one person.
Yeah, I do feel like the station tricking people, it's helping you, and then it's, killing one of your crew members secretly. That does feel evil. I do feel like you should blow the station up, but not with all the people on it.
Yeah.
Get out and then send out a signal so that other species can come and tell them what's going on or something.
Also, nobody asked Mayweather how he felt about this. Maybe he would have been okay with it.
Yeah.
Travis was like, no, you guys, I asked. It explained to me, and I was like, yeah, that sounds great.
Totally fine. I'm fine with this. They're all happy. The station's blowing up. The arms blow up. They're slowly getting control of the ship back, but unfortunately, one of the arms is still locked on. They try to escape, but they're still connected to the station that is in the process of blowing up. Trip says they can't go to Impulse. The connected arm would just rip through the saucer section. Archer tells Malcolm to fire a torpedo, and wait for it, Malcolm hesitates to fire the torpedo.
Complete lie. That's the lie.
I know, I should have made that one of the lies. Something that close to them, but they don't really have a choice. So he fires a torpedo and then another, and he manages to break the arm and free them. And the Enterprise skedaddles as the whole station just blows the fuck up.
Fucking hell.
I can't believe they just murdered all those people and don't care at all.
What is going on with this show?
If they had said something like... all those people are basically brain dead at this point and could not be brought back, but Travis, because, if they just had a line that explains that, but Travis, because, they haven't hooked it up to his brain yet, so you could still save him, but everybody else is essentially dead, maybe I'd feel differently, but this really feels like they just blew everyone up and killed everyone.
Well, wait for it.
Okay.
Oh, there's more? Okay.
Yeah. So back in sickbay, Travis is awake. And they're trying to figure out what the heck happened. Phlox shows them a little device that was attached to Travis. The station was using his brain to enhance its processing power. Travis is obviously upset by all this. And then he asks the question that all of us asked and literally nobody else has asked. What about all the other people who were in the docking bay with him?
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Phlox says that most of them had been there for years and the damage to their brains was irreversible. So no problem. Totally fine to let them die.
Yeah, most, but not the rest.
Archer doesn't even give it a second thought. He asks Phlox when Travis will be back on duty. Phlox says he needs at least a day. Archer tells Travis that he's rescheduling their breakfast for Friday morning. because that was the most important thing and everyone is happy.
I do like that Archer is scheduling it. It makes me feel better about the last episode to know that
He's doing
it
it with
wasn't just Archer trying to do this with Malcolm. Archer's making an effort with everybody, that he probably has a thing where, like, he's having breakfast with everyone on the ship because, like, Travis is an ensign.
Yeah. Great news, guys. We get one final scene.
Okay.
And it's the debris of all of the station that's floating in space.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, wait, is that a light on one of the pieces? And we zoom in and we see...
Are they going to get a replicator?
One of the arms is repairing. It's putting itself back together. Oh.
Okay.
And end of episode.
Dun, dun, dun. That actually sounds like a great episode, I just want to say. It's so weird and creative.
So it was a great Enterprise episode. It was, you know, a middling Star Trek episode, but it was definitely Star Trek. Like evil computers, a deal that seems too good to be true. It's been done better in other Star Treks, but this was fine. Like, it was good. This episode was nominated for an Emmy for visual effects, and I have to say, I thought the effects were really pretty cool. Like, I actually thought that was the case with Minefield as well. For early 2000 effects, it was really well done. It all looked really good.
Okay, before you get into your breakdown,
Yes.
I'm getting really fucking dark with this. So, they have this fake dead Mayweather on the Enterprise.
Oh, that's a great point.
Yeah, they still have it.
Do they feed that into the resequencer?
I hope they use it in a future episode or something.
No, I'm
yeah,
not
they
even
should,
asking,
like,
like, if
freeze
there's a
it.
body around. They're just like, well, do we shoot
Right.
this? Do we
What
give
do
this
we-
a space burial? Or is it not really him? Like, it's protein.
Travis
Do
is
not
like,
put it in the
It's water and protein.
Absolutely not.
Travis is like, I'll take it. Don't ask any questions. I'll take it.
They ask Phlox, hey, what happened to that body? What are you talking about? I said, don't worry about it.
My regular worms needed some food. Yeah, so I loved the continuity. I really did like that they just seemed fine with leaving all those people to die. Like, okay, they didn't have a lot of choice, but they could have at least attempted to help some of them. Or, you know what? Get a list of names so they could let their families know. Like, you know, just because... Like, they were just like, oh, these people have brain damage, and therefore they're not worth saving.
Yeah,
I
if
didn't
they
like
had,
it.
I would have liked to see them trying, and then there's no time, and they're being like, there's no time, you gotta go. And then they go, and maybe they're like, try to not blow up the whole station, but then they have to, or something.
Once again, they have transporters.
Yeah.
Let us remember that they have transporters. So at a minimum, they could have, you know, even if they weren't sure if it was going to hurt them or not, they could have transported all those people into a cargo bay and seen what they could have done. But
I really wish that the show had not had transporters.
Beyond finding a solution for this problem, simply reflecting on the consequences.
yeah.
Yeah, like,
But those are some of the strongest episodes of TNG or whatever flavor of later Trek that you like. It was like, we did this thing that we had to do, and now the captain is gonna look out into the starfield and feel it for a second before the end credits.
yeah, instead of cheering when the station blows up and being all happy, like, I would have really liked if they'd had said something about, like, they're gonna try and then there's no time and they have to go and maybe they have to blow it up, and then they were just sad about it. I feel like that would have been, because I agree, it doesn't make sense for the show to bring all these aliens onto the ship and then have to deal with getting them all home.
Is there a moment where they walk into and they see this, you know, abattoir, this, like, you know, huge thing of all these people who are there? Is there a moment where the horror hits them? Okay.
I mean, yes. When they first get in there, they're like, what is this place?
Right. Okay.
The fact that they just did not even attempt, did not even seem sad about not being able to save all these people.
No, they didn't give it a second thought. And again,
The
most
shit-
of them were to, even if you say, okay, they were effectively brain dead, Most of them were in that situation, not all of them.
And even if it was all of them, they didn't know that until after.
Fun fact, this episode was directed by Roxanne Dawson, who was B'Elanna in Voyager.
Yeah. This sounded like an amazing episode. I'm so looking
Never
forward
even
to
heard of
this.
that character.
Yeah, she was also the voice of the evil computer. She's a main character in Voyager. It's nice. Yeah, generally, I think it was a fun episode. I think, and honestly, like, the Enterprise crew acted the way I would expect them to act at this point.
Everyone acted in character.
Yeah.
Incompetent.
Exactly.
And uncaring.
Mm-hmm. And Travis was the only one who was worried about all those people. He was like, well, what about all those other people?
I think this would have been a really good episode of any other flavor of Star Trek. Like, if it, any other
Or
episode.
it would have been like a okay episode.
Right.
Yeah, this sounds fun. It does feel like we're getting into more fun episodes. I don't think we had anything this interesting in the first season.
This sounded amazing. And Maria, no caves.
Yeah, not one cave.
I almost made that one of my true truths and a lie, that there are caves in this episode.
We can fix your entire ship, but the entire crew has to go into a cave.
So this made me feel so much better because this is the second time, Maria, that me and you have swapped episodes because of schedules. And the last time we swapped episodes, I can't remember what I got, but I think I got something pretty good. And then you got Terra Nova, one of the worst episodes ever. And then because now we were on a worse schedule, you started consistently getting really bad episodes. So this time, because I swapped with you, I was so worried you would get a bad episode. But now I'm concerned that now I'm on the Maria schedule.
I'm looking forward to the episode Jamie is covering, and it's called Planet of Caves?
Caves. Crazy Trips House of Caves. Anyway, so yeah, the two truths and a lie. Travis does not, in fact, die. He just gets replicated.
I win.
I am so happy to be wrong.
Porthos good boy scale, just one Porthos scene, but he is a very good boy. He checks out that squeak.
Aw.
Is this the first scene where Porthos gets alerted about something and it's not actually a problem? Like, it's not actually an alien that's invading the ship?
Yeah, because Archer actually believes him because he hears it as well. So
well, there you go.
It's only the situations where Porthos knows something that everybody else doesn't, that he doesn't believe.
I really don't think anybody but us remembers that squeak because it was.
Yeah.
I think it was the cold open on the second episode of the show.
Because they were bored,
God.
yeah. Never asked, never answered. Again, we have a mysterious, unknown, extremely powerful enemy that the Enterprise has pissed off. Like Silent Enemy, we never hear who's actually behind this, who built those things, who created the station. Apparently, they do come back in 2 Enterprise novels, but not in the show. So, if you want to do some extra reading about the show.
I think it's fine for there to be, like, when you're out exploring the universe, you're going to come across things that are just mysterious. That makes sense to me. Like, I'm not mad about it. It doesn't feel like something the show had to answer. It's actually more fun for it to be mysterious. To know, like, there's some other creatures out there that have extremely advanced technologies.
Right. Technical difficulties. Guys, how do comms work?
Fucking comms. How do they work?
How do they work? So there's a scene where Archer was in Travis's room with Malcolm and the comm goes off and he just answers it. Like, how did they know he was there? Like, how did they...
The comms don't make any sense.
He just was like, yes. No, he wasn't like Archer here, or it was just seemed very strange to me.
I feel like the ship somehow knows what room they're in.
Yeah, I feel like there's, like, I know that when you work in companies, like, your badge, like, knows where you are.
And also, like, if you're standing next to each other, like, how do you know? Like,
it's a storytelling tool. Don't worry about it.
Like, if the comm went off, but both Archer and Malcolm were in the room, how did he know it was for him and not for Malcolm?
Because he's higher. I think the higher ranked person answers, or, like, if there's a comm person.
It's all weird.
Truly one of my favorite Riker Googling social media post was, why are we just saying our passwords out loud?
Yeah.
Good point.
I have been mad about that forever.
I'm gonna blow up the ship. Here's my password. 1 Alpha 1 001 306.
I really just want somebody to go, okay, authorization, Riker, password. Password 123.
Archer's password is Porthos.
Porthos, of course it is.
Porthos, 1 exclamation point.
What the Phlox? Phlox works really hard in this episode, from managing Malcolm's drama about his leg, to helping Hoshi with her feelings, to figuring out that Travis wasn't actually dead. Because apparently this is a thing that has happened to many ships. Like, this is standard operating protocol, right? It comes in, it helps the ships get repaired, but it steals a crew member.
Yeah. I would think, because I was thinking about this, like, presumably because it's so helpful, there's a lot of ships that go back lots of times, and it must be smart enough to know not to take a person every time.
Right. But those ships are all fucked now because it is blowed up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, Chef. This is their first encounter with replicators. But we know from other Star Treks, this is canon, the food they produce isn't quite right, and Chef is always a better option.
All of Chef's menus now include an asterisk. May include fake Malcolm.
No,
not Malcolm.
Fake Travis.
Fake Travis, sorry. Malcolm Mayweather. God damn.
I love that Chef Dorothy, like, made a whole catfish meal with sides. I bet her cornbread is so good.
It looked delicious. It looks so good.
Do you think they fought over who got to eat it?
Yeah, probably.
I mean, on set afterwards.
I don't know. I feel like Connor Turnier just ate the whole thing.
Oh, sure.
Where is HR? Just the usual Archer being angry and taking it out on T'Pol for literally. This one was really extreme. Like,
This sounded
no
like
good reason.
This sounded like a T'Pol light episode.
It was very
Granted,
T'Pol like.
she
Yeah,
was
there was.
there, okay.
I mean, she was on some of the away missions and stuff, but there was not a lot of conflict there. Yeah, so. I don't know. I think you guys will enjoy this. Like I said, it's not a perfect episode, but it's Star Trek.
It sounds fun.
It's good Star Trek.
Yeah.
This is the segment of our show we like to call Will's Holorex, where we each give our Rikermendations for non-Enterprise related content that we've been consuming in our holodecks this week. Bill, what do you got?
I have a retro recommendation based on Minefield, because I talked about my love of people defusing bombs. So I am going to recommend a movie from 1943 called The Adventures of Tartu, which is a World War II British spy movie.
Fun.
I recommend the entire movie, but the reason I am recommending this for Minefield is there is a scene at the beginning of the film where the main character has to defuse a bomb. And the key problem is this unexploded German bomb from World War II has hit a hospital. And the guy who is trying to disarm this bomb has to disarm the bomb in a hospital while a small boy who cannot be moved from the hospital because of whatever injuries he has is still in the hospital. And he has to talk to this boy. And this tiny little boy is so fucking annoyed. He's like, what are you doing down there? and he's like, well, listen, little Timmy, I'm going to like try to disarm this stuff. What's going on?
Oh, God.
And there's an entire other movie beyond that. But so this is called The Adventures of Tartu. It is from 1943.
Awesome. Jamie, what you got?
I would like to recommend using random number generators to make decisions. Or truly pseudo-random number generators, because true random number generators don't exist. I'm just going to call them random number generators.
So the number is Fleem.
I use them for almost everything because I'm really bad at making decisions for things, especially things that don't really matter. I am somebody who gets decision paralysis. And so I find that using random number generators helps me make decisions. So if I'm at a restaurant and I'm like, what do I want to eat? Do I want this or that? Do I want the thing that sounds really good but maybe is healthier, or do I want the thing that's probably really bad for me but I truly want more?
Right.
Random number generator. To choose what books to read, I have my to be read shelf, and it has a mix of like very serious books about social issues, and then it also has gay hockey smut on it. And if it's just up to me, if I'm like, what book do I feel like reading? It's always going to be gay hockey smut. Like, I'm never going to choose a serious nonfiction book over gay hockey smut. But with a random number generator, it sort of takes that decision away from me. So sometimes it chooses the fun stuff, and sometimes it chooses the more serious thing.
I completely skipped a groove and pictured Jamie walking into a Perkins and sitting down and opening the menu, and the waitress walks up and says, "Hey, what do you want to have today? Do you have any gay hockey smut?"
One other thing is sometimes I will put things in the app. Like sometimes I'm at a restaurant, I'm like, oh, these 3 things sound good. I use a random number generator. And if the random number generator chooses something and I feel disappointed, I know it's helped me make my decision. I'm not going to do that thing. You don't have to do what the random number generator tells you to do. I have gone through many apps for this to find the perfect app. And the one that I like the best is called Pretty Random. I like it because it's very simple. I can like change the max number. So I can make it out of 2, out of 3, out of 100, doesn't matter. And it goes really fast. So a lot of them, it goes, it takes too long. I need it immediate. So yeah, I like the app Pretty Random for that. But any random number generator, use it to make decisions.
Awesome.
It's very helpful.
Fantastic.
Thank you for that.
My recommendation, y'all are not going to be surprised by this. Y'all know I love superhero content. I love animation. This is both. It's a Marvel show called Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. It is another Spider-Man. And it's super fun. It's sort of part of that Marvel what if, so it's an alternate universe. Apparently it was supposed to be the storyline for the Tom Holland Spider-Man series, but they ended up not using that story. It's really fun, and, you know, I am one of those people who's like, I don't need another Spider-Man. There've been so many Spider-Man, but this has been actually a super fun and interesting. Yeah, it's an interesting storyline, and it kind of connects to the Marvel universe, but doesn't quite because it's a different universe. So yeah, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. It's on wherever all the Marvel stuff is. I guess Disney Plus probably. And that's the episode. Thanks for listening. Next week, we'll revisit this episode as a second contact and hear Bill and Jamie's thoughts once they've actually watched it. And a week after that, Jamie will be watching the episode A Night in Sickbay.
Oh, no.
Special thanks to K.O. Myers at Particulate Media for sound assistance, to our friend David for the beautiful cover art he made for us, and to John Stephen King for being the voice of our computer. If you like the show, please rate, review, and subscribe on your podcast app of choice, and tell your friends about it. We really appreciate it. You can follow us on Instagram and Facebook as Enterprise Splaining, and on Blue Sky as Enterprise Splain. You can also email us any comments or questions, such as, what sides would you like to have with your fried catfish? To enterprisesplaining@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. And if you would like to support this podcast, you can find us at Buy Me a Coffee as Enterprise Splaining. See you next week.
Peace out.
Computer and program.
Where the computer at?
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.